Thank you, Chair. I'm going to go back to crime prevention. Now, we cannot have, what concerns me, General Mosekile, is we cannot have a budget of 47 million when it comes to protecting women and children and there's no enforcement. I think, like the Minister said, I understand earlier on when you referenced Section 10 of the Children's Act in terms of whose responsibility it is to act where children are in direct danger. We also know that there's a national instruction basically for SAPS that allows SAPS to actually respond to these cases, especially when it is after hours when you don't have social workers. Now, I'm also saying we cannot basically shift and I don't want to say blame shift. We cannot look at and every time we reference and we mention children, we say, no, this is the responsibility of the Department of Education, or this is the responsibility of DSD, particularly where we know that we have social crime prevention, and particularly where we know where children are in spaces of risk. We need to ensure, number one, the priority as per the Children's Act, that we take those children to a place of safety. Now, you asked earlier on, we cannot just remove. Removing is the last thing. It's so traumatic. I've been on scene with quite a few of these cases, and that's the absolute last thing that we want to do. But as things stand right now on the Western Cape with the high levels of drug abuse and gangsterism, children are abandoned and children are at risk. Children are sleeping outside, they're going without food, they're being abused, sexually violated. Every day I'm getting hundreds, dozens of cases of children being sexually abused, going without food, are going to these homes. So I'm saying to you, at any given point, we need to ensure that our police stations, our victim-friendly rooms are adequately equipped to absorb these children. And at any given point, whether I go to SAPS at 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock, because sometimes in these drug and gang infested areas, Minister, your social workers cannot just enter even without SAPS on their own because of the risk. So this is something which, and even when we do have removals, Minister, you don't even have vehicles. Your social crime prevention is mandated to respond to such cases to ensure that that child, that minor, does not get into a van but into a vehicle. There are many times when we cannot remove because SAPS does not have the resources. That's the reality, and this is what I'm trying to say. So we cannot say that when a child is found loitering on a street corner, Western Cape, a social worker can just pick that child up. This is why we have social crime prevention. This is why we have the vehicles to actually stop, because when that child is standing on the street corner, that child is at risk of being raped, being murdered, being abducted. It is the responsibility, the primary responsibility of SAPS to ensure that child's safety, to load that child in the vehicle, take that child to the victim-friendly room, track the parents, bring the parents in, get the social worker, and the social worker will then deal with the case further. So that is a must that we have to do. If we are addressing gangsterism on the Cape Flats, we cannot wait for that child to get into a pelapos or into the gang before we go and rescue that child. It is our responsibility, social crime prevention, to act, to ensure that that child is safe. And then basically we notify DSD and we have all of those social workers on standby. I must say the social workers on the Western Cape are quite effective. They have been responding adequately. But the thing is, with our SAPS members, where all of these children are at risk and in these gangs right now, we find that SAPS members aren't even aware. And I appreciate MP's question on, don't you think it's time that some of our members gets back to school? They are not even familiar with the process in terms of what forms to have at the police station. So they don't know about the Form 22, the Form 36, how to do that. And it is needed in the Western Cape. So if we are saying we are allocating a budget of 47 million to address women and children and crime prevention, we must ensure that we have the capacity, that people are educated and empowered to actually ensure that we have value for money when it comes to the spend of 47 million. So we cannot approve a budget where there's loopholes. So this is what I'm saying when it comes to, we have to, and I'm not going to back down on this, we have to act where we see children are at risk. No more children loitering, no more children, when children are meant to be in school, that is a violation of the children's rights. And SAPS is meant to act and be first responded to that child that is vulnerable. Then the second question I just want to ask, the priority, and you're right, Minister, we agree with all those priorities, it is needed. We have two programs, we have Shanela and we have the SANDF deployment. Now, I don't understand when we say, with Shanele, we have weekly monitoring, which is awesome. Here we have a program that has been mentioned that stems from the SONA, from the president, the SANDF deployment, and 2 months in, we're saying we haven't monitored. Why? I would have liked to think that the same urgency is assigned here with this program. Shanele gets monitored weekly. SANDF 2 months and we haven't monitored.
1 minute on.
We don't have an analysis when it comes to that. Thank you. So the comparison, what's the difference? Shanele, we just heard that all departments are present. They're participating. With SANDF, the minister says we cannot instruct other departments. So I'm not sure where's the difference here. Please help me understand. And then last, General Sentimulu, you spoke about the E-docket pilot. Thank you so much for this. We have been asking for this for the longest time ever. But I just want to know that we've had this program rolled out before. There was a service, if my memory, I just didn't have enough time to do the research now. There was a service provider appointed not so long ago, and monies was paid actually for this E-docket program. What happened? There was no value for money. I believe that matter is in court. Have we recovered the money spent for that program? What is the status of that? Thank you.
Thank you.